Welcome to Spokane County Library's Mother's Day activity, Plantable Seed Paper. This is a great activity to do as a present for your mom or even something to do with your mom as a fun project. So let's go over the supplies you will need. You will need a 13 by 9 pan, whether a Pyrex or baking dish, whatever you have that works. You'll need a bowl to mix your paper paste in. You will also need some white glue and some scissors, as well as some warm water in whatever container you have that works. If you signed up for the program, if you registered, you will have access to a bag of supplies, which will have some jumbo craft sticks, some cheesecloth, ribbon, some pipe cleaners, as well as some colored paper and marigold seeds. So that is all of the supplies and tools you'll need to create your plantable Mother's Day flower. So let's get started. The first thing you'll want to do is to make your screen. I have one I made here that looks a little worse for wear because I used it to make my flowers as my little demo here. So you can kind of see some of the yellow and orange paper still stuck in the screen a little bit that I couldn't get out. But you'll want to make the screen first. So you're going to want to take 4 of your jumbo craft sticks and use your white glue to glue them together to create a frame. So you want to glue the corners. Spot of glue there, spot of glue there. Now, if you're using white glue, I was a little impatient with mine and I used hot glue. If you're using white glue, you will have to wait for your screen to set up before you make your paper. So I recommend making your screen ahead of time if you can, because it takes a little bit for the white glue to set up and for your screen to be firm. And you want it firm because you're going to be dunking it in water. So make a screen like this. Nice box, okay? Then once it's set up, and we're going to pretend it's set up, you take your cheesecloth and you cover the entire frame with it, okay? And then you're going to use your other 4 craft sticks to secure your cheesecloth so it becomes a screen. So you want to pull your cheesecloth around and wrap it around. And then you're going to use your other popsicle sticks to glue the screen in place. So you see this side has this popsicle stick on the front. So I'm going to fold the cheesecloth over and glue the other popsicle stick on this side so it's flush and it traps that cheesecloth in between smoothly. Okay? It's a little harder when the glue's not set. It'll be much easier if you let it dry. So then you would glue along here, glue the cheesecloth in between your 2 popsicle sticks like that. And you do the same to this side, where you can get your popsicle sticks flush together so it traps the cheesecloth tightly. And you want to make sure you're pulling your cheesecloth taut so it's nice and springy, because you're going to be pressing against it a little bit to press your paper paste out into paper. And then the next, we're going to flip it over and use our last 2 craft sticks on this side to glue the cheesecloth in place on this side. So this side you can see the 2 craft sticks will be flush together so it traps that cheesecloth tightly. And then once you've done that, you've glued that together, then you can take your scissors and cut all this extra stuff off. And then it'll come out looking like this. Okay, so that will be your process to make the screen. As I said, I recommend doing it a little earlier than you would want to make your paper because it needs to set up if you're using white glue. It needs to dry completely. So that would be your screen. Now we need to make the pulp. So you want to pick your color or colors. You can mix colors if you like. I prepared and ripped up a couple of red pieces of paper, which we're going to put in our bowl. Now you want to tear up the pieces pretty small as you can get them. Now this is where you have the option, if you want to, you can use a blender to mix these up with warm water and create a paste. Or you can just do it with your hands, which is what I'll do right now. You want some nice warm water, and you want to pour that over the top of your paper. Okay, and then you're going to get a little dirty, a little messy, and you want to get your hands in there and make sure the paper is totally soaked. And then you want to start squishing and smashing the paper until it's all a paste. Now, if you're doing this with your hands though, I recommend letting the paper soak in the warm water for about 5 minutes before you start squishing and smashing the paper, because it makes it a lot easier. The paper's softer and it goes a lot quicker. But you want to make a paste. So you want to start ripping and smashing your paper. I'm going to add a little bit more water. Now my paste, since I'm not letting it soak for a few minutes, yours will probably come out much smoother. But for time's sake here, I'll do some smashing. So I recommend doing this in a place where you don't mind your surface getting a little wet and hands getting a little wet. It goes much quicker in a blender, but I think doing it with your hands is a little bit funner. Okay, I think I've got a pretty good paste going there. Nice and deconstructed there. Okay, I'm going to use one of my kitchen towels. Get some of that paper off my hands and dry them off a little bit. Nice and red now. Okay, so this is where you'd want to add your marigold seeds. So I have a little bit of marigold seeds right here. Now, the seeds go a long way, so you don't have to add a bunch. I would just add a pinch to start, and you can see how it looks. You can add more later if you want, but they do go a really long way. So next, we're going to add our paper paste with the seeds in it to our 13 by 6 pan that we've added warm water to, about halfway full. Now we're going to dump our paper paste into the warm water. We're going to gently mix it in. There we go. And if you see any big pieces of paper that you missed squishing or smashing, now's your time to grab those and squish and smash. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. And if you did miss something, it's not that big of a deal. It'll just incorporate into the paper when it dries and binds into your recycled paper. Now, I do recommend you using not just the colored paper, but you can use other paper that you would recycle normally, or just old paper you have lying around that you would throw away. Works just as well for this. You just don't want to use glossy paper or shiny paper, okay? So we've got our marigold seeds and our red paper paste in there. So then we're going to take our screen and we're going to use it as kind of a scoop. And we're going to get some paper paste on our screen. So we're gonna dip it into the bowl here, and we're gonna kind of swish it back and forth so that the paper paste kind of evens out. And then we're going to lift it straight up and let the water, as much water as we can get, to drain off of it. Before I do that though, I'm gonna get my kitchen towel ready because we want a place to set our screen. Okay. So we're gonna try to press all that water out. Okay, so we're gonna lift it up. I'm gonna get some of this excess stuff off of the border here. Get as much of that water to drip off as possible. Okay, we've got our paste on the top of the screen there. Okay, I'm going to set it on my paper, my kitchen towel. Okay, and then I'm going to use another kitchen towel to lay over the top, and I'm going to press on it. Press on it hard, much as I can. We want as much of that water to come out as possible. So you want to use a nice absorbent kitchen towel. You can use a dry sponge, a kitchen sponge, if you have one as well. Those will work great to absorb and press out water. Ta-da! Okay. Now comes the part which I always find tricky, is to get your paper off the screen. You have to kind of start a corner, and it usually comes off pretty easily off that. You have to work the sides a little bit to get it off. You're gonna get a little messy. Okay, let me see if I can get it off. Peel it gently off the screen. Try to get it in as one piece as you can. I'm not really good at getting it off the screen. Ta-da! Okay, so I'm gonna kind of straighten that out. I got a little crumpled coming off of there. So I've got a little bit of a square there. Okay, I'm gonna press on it again. And flip it over. Okay, so there's my seed paper. Now you have to let it set out and dry. So this would take, depending on where you set it, how good of sunlight you have on it, it could dry really quickly in a half an hour, or it could take an hour or two. Just depends on how thick you got your paste, as well as where it's drying. So there is our little square. Now, I did earlier, as you can see, I did a yellow and orange paper, and I cut out some flowers to put in our plant pot that you'll have in your kit if you registered for the program. So that's where the green pipe cleaners come in. You take a little bit of glue and you glue the back side of your flower, whichever side you would like, into the pipe cleaner so it looks like it's on a little stem. You can cut out whatever shape you'd like. It could be a flower, it could be a heart, whatever you so desire to do. And then you can put it in your pot. Now I use just some old crumpled paper to prop up my flower. You could also use soil to give your mother a head start on planting your flowers. All she would have to do is put her paper into the soil in her pot and watch it grow. If you wanted to add even a little bit more than just seeds to your paper, what can be really pretty is if you're doing, you could do herb seeds and add some of the dried herb to the paper. It makes a really pretty effect. And if you're doing flowers like marigolds or another flower, you could also, if you have them, add dried flower leaves, which is really pretty to the paper as well. But this is our craft today, and that is how you do your own plantable seed paper. I hope you have a great time with your mom, either making this as a present for her or doing it with her. Have a great Mother's Day, and we'll see you next time.